on a volcano, bare feet over fire and stone. Yeah, I've lived through hell, but I'm not alone. The edge don't scare me, I've already been burned. Every step I take now is a lesson I've learned.
Dancing on a volcano, right? You know what I mean? Please hit like and subscribe. You know, there are a lot of people watching the show, but they're not subscribing to the show. We need you. Please tune in so that when new episodes drop, you get the notice. We appreciate you. Dancing on a Volcano, episode 16, season 2. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. How about that, right?
How about that?
How about that, right? So we're dancing on a volcano. What episode are we on right now, Dean? Episode 16. We're starting to stack some episodes together.
We sure are.
You know what I mean?
What an accomplishment. 16 episodes.
16 episodes in. I mean, it could be, you know, the big podcasters, they're doing this, you know, as a full-time gig. For me, this is like we get a couple in a month or whatever, you know what I mean? Blended in with everything else.
Yeah, but at least you're like going through with it.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
the amount of unfinished projects that I have.
So I'm here with Kristen H., which is Harootunian.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Kristen and I met in a church basement.
We sure did.
Right? Yeah, we did. And we've known each other for now, well, how long? How long you been around now? 7?
10.
10.
I know,
my
I
God,
know, I
help
know.
me. 10 years. Hold up a minute. How is time warping so fast?
I think COVID did part of that.
Yeah, because COVID like raced a couple years,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, I still earn those years. You know, just like laying in bed. Laying in bed with my camera off.
So Kristen and I met in church basement, and so in 10 years, so that would be 2015,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So probably, if I'm guessing, Delaware County.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
When I was speaking today, when I was like at work earlier today, you know, I was in New Jersey and they were like, "Oh, you're totally Delco." And I was like, I didn't even need to say it. I was like, "Really?" They were like, "Yeah, you know."
Well, okay, so let's talk about that. We get a lot of Delco people on here, right? Because a lot of my early recovery started in Delco too. I mean, I spent a month in
Right.
Philly, and then moved to Delco, and then a good core of my recovery was there. So, are you from Delco originally, or what?
Some would say Delaware County. So like,
okay.
yeah.
We could do. All right. that's
Well,
right.
you know, like the
Yeah.
Glen Mills,
Yeah,
like
right,
the
right.
media.
Yeah, right,
like-
right.
No, but yeah, I grew up in Delco, in Glen Mills.
Okay, and
Yeah.
where'd you go to school?
Pencrest,
Okay.
at least for high school. So I went to Pencrest like 3/4 of the way through.
Okay.
And then they were like, like, I don't know if you can like be here anymore. You know?
I have worn out my welcome.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about like home life early growing up. So mom, dad, tell me a little bit about what your family life was like.
Yeah, we had like, I had a mom, I had a dad,
Okay.
2 older brothers,
Okay.
2 dogs.
Okay.
Yeah, lived like house on the hill, cul-de-sac
Okay.
type situation.
So everything exterior looked normal and
Exterior for sure.
Yeah. Okay, we'll
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The volcanoes are not yet.
No, not yet. We're
Not yet.
we're on, like base camp.
Slow your roll.
Yeah.
Slow your roll. All right. So let's talk. Okay. Older brothers. You said 2 older brothers.
Yes.
How much older?
One is 2 years older, one is 4 years older.
Okay.
So we're
How was your relationship with them growing up?
growing up, we were tight.
Mm-hmm.
Me and the one that's 2 years older than me, Connor, we were a lot closer. But I think it's because we were like closer in age. So like we like hung out a lot, we talked a lot, like we confided in each other a lot. Like the older one, like he was more like parent, you know?
Right.
So like he
Right.
did like a lot of like making sure everybody's safe and good. And, you know, he was at the time, like not everybody had a cell phone, right? So like he was the one that like had the flip phone. He was like the responsible one.
Right. Now, how about relationships between your brothers and you and your mom and your dad? Was everybody copacetic and cool? Was there any strife between them? Like, what?
Yeah. I mean, everybody wasn't cool. I mean, like we like presented as like, we're good,
Okay.
you know, like I played sports growing up. My brothers played sports growing up. So like, you know, like my mom would like try to go to the games and like bake you know, these like really elaborate cakes for like the final game of the season or whatever, you know, like she was like a really good like snack mom. Like
Right.
that was like the exterior of like I'm giving more than I am
Mm.
for others, right?
Okay.
But like I mean, I had a lot of strife with my mom, but I had more empathy for her and more strife with my dad because like there's just to like give you like the view from 30,000 feet. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, but she was also like us, right? Like
Okay.
so she
One
was,
of us.
yeah, she was absolutely one of us. And
Okay.
then my dad just like went overseas all the time and worked. So like
Okay.
he was like, we're gonna live in like a beautiful home in Glen Mills, Pennsylvania, and I'm gonna like bring home like mad money, but like also I'm not gonna be home like 2 weeks out of each month. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that level of, I want to say unsupervised, but that level of lack of oversight from your father's side contributed to some of your,
My hijinks.
yes, your miscreant behavior?
Wait, so let me tell you a story. So like something that comes to mind for me is so this was not my hijinks. This was like hijinks that I didn't own, but just like happened. So like
Okay.
I was maybe like 14 years old, 15 years old, and my brother that I was closest with, Connor, he was like, you know, dad's going away. And I was like, cool, cool, cool. And he was like, let's like throw a party. And I was like, okay, like let's throw a party. So like he invited like his core group of friends. Like my dad was going to California or somewhere overseas, and those core group of friends spread invite to all.
Right.
Everybody in Pencrest was like, we're going to go to this party on, you know, Rosewood Lane. And then next thing you know, like my grandfather was like somebody who stepped in a lot. So like he would come at like 5, 6 o'clock and be like, oh, I'm going to make you dinner. It's so cute. And we were like trying to push him out. Like, get out of here. Like people are coming at 7. You know what I mean? So like we rushed him up the driveway and he's like, you sure you're going to be okay? We were like, yeah, like get out of here. And he left, and then not even like 10 minutes later, like the house was like flooded with like 75 people. Like there was like a million people in our house. And like long story short, like that party ended up like we had these long white carpeted steps that like went up and around, and like, you know, at the time, like, you know, we were just kids and we would like take vodka and like pour it over like fruit and then like eat all the fruit.
Right.
And, like,
Right. That kind of thing.
yeah, like these boys were like eating all the fruit. It was watermelon. And I guess he ate too much and got sick all over the white stairs. And the white stairs were just pink.
Mm.
And we had to figure out what we were going to do by the time my dad came home. So, yes, we did come up with hijinks. But
Well,
that, you know, that was like the partying. That was like,
so would you say some of the strife that you had with your father where you butted heads was, you know, his observation of your behavior, you know, being a little bit out of pocket, and then you had talked a little bit about your mother, right? And, you know, and I'm going to kind of rewind a little bit. I'm paraphrasing here, and maybe in some way I'm manufacturing this. I don't know for sure, so just bear with me. You know, you had said, you know, as a way of, it sounded like making these cakes as a way to appear for others, right? Like that's kind of like what that sounded like.
oh, that was like, and that was like,
Was
that's
that
exactly how
is
it
that
was.
accurate? Okay.
Yeah. I
So-
mean, like my mom, and I say was, right? Like my mom was an incredible person. Like she was a very creative person. She was also somebody that like struggled immensely.
Now we're speaking in past tense. Is your mom still with us?
No. So
Okay.
she passed by suicide in like 2009. Yeah.
Wow. Sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
I didn't know that. Wow. Okay. All right. Woo. All right. All right.
I mean, shit was
Sip of coffee.
it was brutal, you know? It was
Oh yeah, I did not know that. Okay. So, and this is part of the beauty of this podcast is because you just really, and especially the beauty of when you're fond of somebody and you know each other in passing, but you don't really know each other on a deep level. I mean, I see you social media,
Yeah.
speaking, and I saw, little relationships blooming and those type of things. But, what we get in social media and things like that are vignettes.
Mm-hmm.
They're just check-ins. They're not really, they're not really indicative of the true story of the entire life experience. And so when we do these kind of things, it's neat because we unpack and we get to, I'll say, the real,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the thing about it is that the interesting thing about social media is that there's a triggering mechanism in my head that tells me that it should be a social media post.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that's like, look at how ballin' this shit is, and let me show everybody.
Oh yeah.
Or this shit's really fucked up and I need support.
Right.
Right. And then also some in the middle, these are my dogs, or, you know what I mean? Like that kind of, day-to-day stuff. But not everybody is proportionately one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Some people proportionately, you'll find that, only the bawling shit makes it. And then some people on the other side, only the train wreck makes it.
Right.
Right?
And I've seen a lot of the train wreck.
Me too. I've
been the train wreck.
Me too. Right. You know what I mean? So, but all right. So let's rewind back to, so we'll pause temporarily on mom.
Mm-hmm.
We'll come back to that. Because, that's something that probably deserves its own level of unpack. And frankly, during that pause time might be, we'll see. I don't know how it's going to unpack organically. We'll get there. So dad's leaving, coming back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your brothers are a little out of pocket too, right? Setting up parties at the crib, right? Going to school. So one of the things I wanted to say, what I thought, one of the things that was compelling about a conversation with you is that for somebody like me who didn't get into recovery until their 40s, right? You know what I mean? There was a lot of, there was a long, long history of a beatdown I gave myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of stories in that, and hope for young and old. But I think from proportionately that hope comes from all different places, and we can all relate to each other because we can relate to the gift of desperation.
Oh yeah.
But there's an additional level of spice to when people see additional similarities in commonalities in story or in demographic or in age. Now, in recovery, one of the beautiful things about it is that we isolate ourselves from those differences so we can celebrate the similarities.
Sure.
But on the other side, especially in forums like this, it's an opportunity for you to be able to share, your history and your story with other people who might look at you in your age category and those type of things. I mean, how old are you now?
27.
So at 17, you know what I mean? Like most people, let's not say most, let's remove the word most.
Sure.
Many people at 17 are just getting started.
Yes.
Right. And you're not the first person that I know who, had a rough run of it for a few years. And then just decided, okay, enough is enough, and decided to make change. I have a friend of mine who eventually I think we'll bring in here, and she's been clean for over 20 years. And she's another one that started her recovery after just a few years of chaos and decided that she needed change.
Right. I mean, it's few and far between when I run into it, but when I do, like somebody that has like long-standing recovery that got in recovery young, like it's still like, even though I've been around for like a little bit, right? Just like a little bit of time, it's inspiring to me to be like, oh, that person has 20 years, that person has 16 years. Like, like that's where it like brings me back to like I'm still like sick and suffering in like some ways, like my unmanageability isn't necessarily like external these days. Like it's pretty internal. Like
okay.
It's like my thoughts, views, and perceptions of the world around me can skew pretty easily, I find. So
Okay.
like my life looks awesome, but like I still, it's why we do the maintenance stuff, right?
Right. You're saying the dis-ease still rests between your ears.
Easily.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
easily.
Okay. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
It's better than it's ever been.
For sure. No, I
But-
mean, like, I have a little bit of space between, like, how I feel and what I act.
Right.
Like,
right.
I'm not, like, well, sometimes, I'm like, I feel something. I want to do something about it immediately, Like, I remember I saw, like, these two cute pairs of jeans that I, like, convinced myself that I needed to buy, like, immediately. Like, immediate. And, like, this is, like, at Nordstrom, not
Right,
even Nordstrom rack. Like,
Yes, right,
Nordstrom.
Yeah. They're not cheap jeans.
No, they're not cheap jeans. And
These aren't Gap jeans.
no, they're not Gap jeans. And I like tried them both on. I was like, oh, I love them so much. I'm going to wear them all the time. Jimmy, these jeans have been sitting in my dresser and I have not worn them once.
Right.
But these jeans that I'm wearing right now, I bought
Right.
it, like a whatever store, and they
Right.
were like $60 and I wear them almost every day.
Right.
Like, come on,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Mhm. Well, I'm coming to understand as time goes on, and it requires a lot of reflection,
Yes.
that the things that I have looked externally to satiate the internal discomfort do not satiate.
No, they make it kind of worse. Like,
Well, because then they stand as a direct reminder of my amounts. Because now, not only did I buy some shit to satiate how I was really feeling, but now not only am I still feeling that way, but now I got to look at that shit I bought that's not really helping
that's
that.
exactly how it feels. I open up the drawer and I'm like, fuck. Like, that's like too much money.
Right.
Sitting right there that,
Right.
I could like do something else with.
Well, so let's talk about that. So, you got 13 parties at the house, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, just off the hook. Nobody's looking, right? What age were you when mom passed?
11, about to be 12. It was right before my 12th birthday.
Okay.
So like my birthday's on Christmas, so she died on December 6th.
So you're a December 25th baby.
I sure am. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
I mean, during that time, like, I'll say this, like, my partying was very antisocial. Like, it was like in the very beginning stages, I was like hanging out with friends, but I was only hanging out with friends because they had what I wanted, right? But like,
okay.
once I found out that like, oh, I'm here because of the booze or I'm here because of the drugs, like, I was like, well, fuck these people. Like, I don't need these people.
Yes,
like,
I'm not here for them.
no,
I'm here for the substance.
I was never there for them. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of my using days were like in my room by myself
Right.
and like using because I didn't want to think and I didn't want to
Right.
feel. And like, I think that's like,
You would you say that at least in part trying to process your mother's suicide was you know what? It actually feels stupid to even ask the fucking
no,
question.
but it does.
But,
no,
but you know what I'm saying though? Like, it's like one of those things that's like, do you think you used because your mom killing herself had an impact? It's like, duh. You know what I mean? Like,
but like kind of not like,
okay.
I mean, like I used because I mean, I wouldn't have known this at the time, right? Like
Right,
it took
right.
like a lot of therapy and da. But like I used drugs because like when my mom died, like I was like, thank God.
really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm a monster. Like, how could I feel that way? Like, it's my own mom. Like, you know what? Because
So
my
you
mom,
were that diametrically opposed with her that when she passed, you felt like
I
you know,
felt
relieved?
sad
Yeah,
and I missed her, but like
but
I was also
Did
like,
you also feel like I got a license to do whatever the fuck I want to do now because
Yes.
I'm no longer restricted by
I'm no
oversight?
longer restricted and I'm no longer responsible. Because I was responsible for her.
Oh,
Like,
I just gave Dean that glance like, okay, we got another fucking good episode here. Holy shit, man. Okay. So, all right. So let's go there. So, wow. All right. There's like 15 questions are lining up in queue right now. You know what I mean? Like they're waiting in the taxi stand. All right. So, all right. So let's talk about mom.
Yeah.
Right? A little bit. Right. So, upon further reflection,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm assuming that over time you've had the opportunity to unpack what it was that potentially caused her to be at that level of desperation to decide that she wanted to leave. Like, I don't know whether it was things that were, the funny thing about it is when things that are happening that are that and funny that the podcast that I sent you,
Mm-hmm.
right? He talks about suicide of a friend of his, and and a lot of it is the after effect of that, and then the replay of the conversations and the things that happened before that.
Right.
Because when we're in the midst of things, we don't tend to see, right? We're too busy just dealing with whatever the day-to-day is. And a lot of like what he later came to the realization of was, oh, what could I have said differently? What could I have done differently? But not even just that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes just the signals of, right? Like seeing those things. So after time, you know what I mean? Now, you were young when you were only 11.
Right.
Right? Did she leave any legacy information, or maybe information that your father that wouldn't have been skewed by his viewpoint? Because sometimes we have a narrative, right? You know what I mean? Like, do you think that your father delivered you an uncolored narrative about the reason why your mother decided to take her own life? Or have you unpacked that later on yourself to have a deeper understanding of what you thought the reason was for her desperation to take it to that level? Ooh.
So my mind goes in two different directions. So like,
Right.
it's both. So
Okay.
like my dad, it took time for us to, I say us as in me and my brothers, like it took him time to recognize and own that he may have like, not like, I'm trying to think of the right word, that like to paint the picture, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. She had an infant, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. My father was getting his MBA while he was working a full-time job, right? So like she was like responsible for the babies and responsible for the home and felt trapped and struggled and had the eating disorder, and then it evolved into alcohol use. So like you have that sort of bye honey, I'm going to Wharton, I got to go take class, and
And she's home dealing with the burdens of basically the holding a household together.
Yeah, being like a mommy, right?
Right.
So like, and like, the thing is that they both agreed, like, this is the goal, right? The goal is to like, do this thing and like, be able to go to Wharton and get his MBA and be an executive and like crush it in work. And then like, I'll be a stay-at-home mom. But like my mom was not, I believe that my mom was not equipped, given that like she had a lot of stuff that was going on with her that like she didn't want to share.
Do you feel like she left aspirations on the table
Yes.
of what she would have liked to have done, but
Yeah,
did
she would-
not because...
She would have loved to be a baker. She would have loved to own a business. Like
right,
those are
right.
things that like she wanted to do. But like the other side of it is like I had curiosity throughout my entire recovery. Like, what happened to my mom? What happened to my mom? Like, I want to know like why. I'm so curious as to like what makes Jimmy Jimmy, what makes Kristen Kristen. Like how like people don't just make choices because they're malicious unless they're like sociopaths. You know what I mean? Like we all make choices because of the way that we were brought up.
There's a big difference between a choice and a choice at someone.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
So like my mom making that choice, because it was a choice, I contacted her sister when I had 6 years clean. And I was like, you need to meet me at the Starbucks, and like, you're going to meet me in the parking lot and we're going to have a conversation.
Right.
And this woman brought like 4 pages of like stories and dates and years.
Wow.
Of like my mom's childhood. And like, I learned that like my mom was like sexually abused like her entire upbringing. And then like, she abused me. And like there were, that cycle of abuse, right? So that gave me more empathy for her, but it also gave me more of an understanding. Like, imagine being a mom who like abuses her kids and then like has to live with that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's like I don't know if I would be able to live with that on top of
Right.
like my own history, and then on top of like I have no relationship with my husband, and I've made no career of my life, and I'm 50 plus years old, and
Right.
I'm trapped in this glass castle.
So you think, based on what you're saying, if we like stacked a few things together, right?
Yes.
You have, one of us,
Mm-hmm.
alcoholism, drug abuse, whatever. You have past trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You have unrealized, ideas about where you would have liked to have taken your life.
Yep.
And then you have the guilt and shame associated with who you are now.
Yes. All of it compounded into that choice.
Right. Right.
So, I again, like, I look back at that time in my life. Were there signs and symptoms? Yeah. My mom talked about killing herself all the time.
Really?
All the time. She talked about it like it's 65 degrees outside. I'm going to kill myself. But like, it was so normalized in our household that we were like, come on,
Thoughts are things. What we say comes to pass.
It sure does.
Right. So sometimes, and that's why we can ill afford when people use that type of terminology to treat it with, I like the way recovery says, a minimum of concern.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You know what I mean? When we hear people that talk about killing themselves, even if it sounds like in jest,
Right.
It's worth a second look.
It's worth a check-in.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, a friend of my daughter's, we lived in Delco.
Mm-hmm.
We lived in Drexel Hill, and a block away, one of my daughter's friend's mother committed suicide while she was going to Haverford. I guess that would be middle school.
Yeah.
So, and it was just like, it just ripped that family apart, and they were just struggling to just try and get their feet firmly planted on just the concept that she was gone. But clearly there was some troubling things with her.
Yeah.
And, and it just, what's that saying that, be kind, you never know what's going on behind somebody's eyes or in somebody's life, or why we default to kindness and why that's the only way to really roll, because the bad day or the bad thing that somebody said may have a lot behind it,
Or even if you do something unkind, like turning it around really quickly and being like, shit, I'm sorry.
right.
Like, like owning up to it. Like, because like we're human. Like I was at the gym the other day and this lady, like, how you like run into people,
Right.
and it's like, you're like, which way am I going to go? And like, she like got like kind of pissed at me. I was like, it's like 6 a.m. I was like, man, like you need to relax. Like, but like, I like gave her this face, like, what the fuck is your problem? And I just was like, okay, I'm just going to go this way. And she kind of gave me a face back. And I'm like,
Right.
I'm like about to cry. I'm like such a sensitive person. But
Right.
like, she walked up to me like 15 seconds later and like took off her headphones and she was like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean to be like a bitch,
Like, it's 6 a.m. and I need another cup of coffee.
Yeah. And it was like, okay. Like, I appreciate that.
Right.
Like, if anything, like, I respect you more for it.
Right.
Right. I mean, you got to try to be a good person. Like,
Well, and the expectation that my behavior will be without fault or reproach, like that's a hard, and I think reproach is the word.
Yeah.
But to set that bar so high, I remember, my sponsor's Big Al. And I remember, right? And,
Al.
Isn't he awesome? I'm trying to get him in here one day.
I love him so much.
I said to him one time, I was like, I really look forward to the day that I could see myself coming. And my therapist at the VA used to say, so my alligator mouth don't outrun my hummingbird ass. Right? Which he had 32 years when I first started seeing him. And Al had 32 years at the same time. So I was like, I had a 1-2 punch of two people that had a lot and they were both in my ear. It was like stereo.
Yeah.
And, and I said to Al, I really look forward to the day when, I see myself coming so that I don't say some shit that later on I have to go back. And he said, me too, motherfucker. Me too. And then you realize that a
An
lot
owl answer.
of the bar I set for myself, for my behavior or for the expectation of the way I'm supposed to react or my reactions, is often based on a level of proficiency or a level of understanding or a level of grasp or a level of surrender or a level, right, that I have not yet achieved. Right. Actually, really recently, there's something I've been involved in. There's this concept called the Dunning-Kruger effect. I'd never heard of it before, and it's fucking totally, it applies to recovery like a motherfucker.
Yeah,
too, right?
yeah.
Right? The Dunning-Kruger effect means that people who have very little of understanding or proficiency in anything, tend to think that they have a great proficiency of it, right? So, people who show up in recovery and they don't know shit, but they know
but they're
everything.
like, I know.
They know everything, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And then, so
It's
that's
like, isn't
so
your life
it's
falling
like the
apart right
yes,
now?
exactly. But they've got it, and
Yeah.
it's all manageable. And I think in recovery, just about everybody, because we're suffering from that fragile ego and the masks associated with, right? You know what I mean? So it's like, we almost have no choice but to show up and throw your game face on that, I'm just here because I want to see whether the coffee was any good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then that's the first part of the Dunning-Kruger effect. And then you realize at some point that, holy shit, I don't know anything. Right. And then there's this fall off. They call it the Valley of Despair, right? And the Valley of Despair is when you realize that you don't really know fucking shit and you have no proficiency in anything. Right? You know what I mean? It's like horrible. It's like that horrible spot. But then eventually you reach a point where you develop some proficiency, knowledge, and skills, right? Knowledge is important, but skills are important too, right?
Well, that's like where your self-esteem starts to build.
Right.
It's not that like fake bravado
doing
of like
doing esteemable things.
yes,
right?
Yes.
And then eventually you reach the other side of the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is where you've developed proficiency, right? And knowledge, right? And capabilities, but then you don't think you have them.
Wait, so shut the fuck up. I was
and I'm like, oh shit. And then the hard part is, which one of these am I? Because sometimes I'm like, I have so much more proficiency than I think I have, and I think I'm a fucking idiot. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I know exactly what the fuck I'm doing.
I was literally just about to say to you, my cute, because I'm always thinking before I, whatever. I was just thinking to myself, like, but when do you get past the part where you like actually believe that you're like good?
Do we? I'm not really sure how that fucking works, but somebody just asked me recently who's familiar with that terminology, like one of the people that, I'm that's coaching me, et cetera. And we were talking about it. He's a therapist too, he's a psychologist or whatever. And I was like, I'm not sure like where exactly I fit in this whole Dunning-Kruger thing.
Right.
But I'm sure I'm in there fucking somewhere,
I don't know. My mind says I'm like, I have good information.
Right.
I don't feel like I'm in denial, but like I feel like that's something that somebody in denial would say.
You get me. You get me. That's good. That's good. I need people who get me. So, and you do get me.
Oh man.
So okay. So let's talk about. All right. So we're closing in on 2015.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right. So. Now you've had some time to allow for unmanageabilities to manifest.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? Like some unmanageabilities manifest faster. I'm one of those people that, fortunately or unfortunately for me, depending on how you look at it, was able to somehow patch the wreck of my life together to keep it going for a very, very long time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And there were so many opportunities where it was like, you could have died there.
Right.
Ooh, you could have went to jail there. And I was just like, you know what I mean? I was like, escaped, lived to fight another day. You know what I mean? But the reality of it was basically lived to struggle for years and years and years because nobody's that fucking lucky. I should have been dead years and years ago.
No,
right?
I think like all of us in the rooms are like just like stray cats.
Yeah. The land of misfit toys.
Yeah, we really like we got away again, but how many times?
Well, you know what? Stray cats is probably even a better adage than the land of misfit toys. And the reason why is because you can't herd cats.
Oh my God, that's
right? Isn't
true.
that
You
true?
can't.
You can't herd cats. And you'd be
No.
like, hey, listen, we got to like get us together here to like unlock the doors for the still sick and suffering, or like we need to come together to talk about something that's that requires group conscience or whatever. And and you've got like all these outliers and all these different what I mean, like viewpoints and and everybody's has carrying their own damage and
Yep.
their own. What's frustrating to me, and I'm getting better with it now, like it's funny because the adage is kind of like this table, like my thought process sometimes with regards to where people are at, and this is coming to me more now and it's helping me, is that I'm like, I see where I'm at in my life, in my recovery, in my process, in the effort I put forth, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll see other people in where they're at, right? You know what I mean? Because we don't want to compare ourselves to others. Comparison's the enemy of, of joy, right? But on the other side, especially when you're impacted by the behavior or attitude of others, you tend to look at it more. Like if somebody's not where you expect them to be or whatever, but it's not impacting your life in any way, you're like, whatever, you know what I mean? But when somebody's incompetent, incompeable, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and you need
them,
somebody who's
you live with
reliable.
them,
Yeah. And you're like, fuck, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how come? So what somebody, and I don't remember where I read it, but they were like, life's like a track, like track and field track. And the thing about it is that, we're all running on the track, but when the race started, everybody got dropped in different places on the track. So we all didn't start from the exact same starting line, right? And then some people got dropped in the nosebleeds and the bleacher seats, right? And some people got like an unlaced shoe, and some people are running barefoot, and some people got started halfway across the other side of the track.
Right.
And you really realize that, that the comparison really isn't a fair assessment of how each of us arrives in this universe, equipped, ill-equipped, with resources, without, right? Bearing, emotional, psychological scars, financial benefit, not, faced with, racism, sexism, phobias, you know what I mean? Like all these things. And, so it's another reason to just be fucking kind.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? You know what I mean? Because you realize like, okay, this person's, I can't tell you like how many people I'm like, how come you can't be a modicum of competent? Why? Because I have a curse of competence, right? Because I'm one of the more competent people, right? So what happens
We're
is,
also perfectionists. Like,
but you get loaded up with, right, the responsibility of others who are incompetent.
right, because like we'll take it on because why not, right?
Yes. Until you're copping resentment over the fact that, you know what I mean? Like I'm holding this whole thing together.
Yeah, and then I'm going to quit my job and I hate it here.
Yeah, and you're walking in here like king shit, you know what I mean? And not even like, and I'm at home at night thinking about how's this all going to go and what do we got to do to manage it? And the next day you walk in like you're the boss and I'm, over managing my shit and your shit and everybody else's shit. So, I'm thinking to myself that, well, let's rewind back. Let's get to, So
you were saying 2015.
Yeah, I think we're ready for that now, right? So let's talk about the gift of desperation, right?
So I had tried to get clean when I was 16.
Right.
My dad threw me in treatment. I was a minor, so I couldn't AMA, which means like I couldn't involuntarily or voluntarily leave.
Right.
I tried to run away. Didn't work. The police came and grabbed me. And I remember like a lady saying, or no, it was a man. He was my counselor at the time. And he said to me, you can walk out those doors right now if you want and bounce. And, we're going to be here and you're still going to be stuck with yourself. And I ran away. I was like, okay, bet. Like I ran barefoot. And this was 2014.
Right.
I came into the rooms a little bit, went to the diners, did the fun stuff, didn't really want to put in any of the work because like, I was like, all these people aren't like me. I'm not shooting heroin. Like, you know what I mean? But like, it doesn't really matter. Like I was like, whether it was like cannabis or meth, like I was a junkie through and through. So it didn't matter. But like my gift of desperation was like, you know, I was like looking at all these people outside of me that were like, so like, that were like in the rooms and they were struggling and they were happy and they were neutral. And, you know, I hear people be like, I lost my car, I lost my husband, I lost my job. And I was like, well, shit, I don't have those things to lose. So like, what can I compare it to? Like, because I didn't have it. Like, I was a high school kid with a full blown drug habit, not being able to function in the world with like a 1.5 GPA, like about to get kicked out of school. So it was like, okay, like what did I lose though? And like, I lost all semblance of any type of hopes and dreams that I had. Like, people were dreaming about going to college and people were dreaming about getting married. And like, I was like, damn, I'm not even going to make it past 18. Like, if I can't live my life without drugs, like, I don't want to live my life, but I don't want to live my life with drugs. So how am I going to live? Like, it was like really confusing. And like my dad was like my hero. Like, I mean, he was like, him and I fought so much. Like, I mean, I like almost stabbed him. Like, I was just like an angry person, and like he's called the police on me. Like, I mean, it's just like I was an animal. But like my dad, even though how many times I hurt him physically, mentally, spiritually, like he would always put his hand out all the time and be like, whenever you're ready, whenever you're ready, whenever you're ready. And like, I would blame him for my mom. Like, I'd be like, you made mom kill herself. This is all your fault. Like, you did this to me. Like, and I did that. So he would like give me money. You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of person that I was when I was using, but I was like hurt. So like, I guess like desperation met opportunity, because like I was like in a place where I was like, I don't know if I like, I didn't have enough money to get high. I didn't want to like sleep with dude again. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to do it. Like, I just didn't want to do it. Like, I couldn't do it again. And like, I remember my dad like coming up to me and like we had this like exchange, and like it just sort of like came together where it was like, oh my God, like I can't do this anymore. Like, I want to be safe. I just want to be safe. I've never felt safe in my life. I've never felt safe. And like, I'm ready to learn what safety feels like. And like, my dad drove me to care and treatment centers. And like, I fought hard the whole way. Like 10 minutes in, I was hyped. 20 minutes in, I was like trying to jump out of the car. You know, it's like, I was like, I'm done. And
reality check in. Like, wait a minute.
I was like,
what did I sign up for? Wait.
Yeah, but that was February 9th of 2015, and I got admitted, and I went to treatment for like 5 months.
Wow.
And like, here's the thing, Jimmy, like I didn't gain the willingness to get clean until I had like 3 months in, which is like the crazy, like I didn't want to hurt anymore, but I still kind of wanted to get high. You know, like it was.
Well, okay, so it's funny that you say that, because one of the common questions I get, like when I'll go to speak like a rehab, is people will ask, you know, probably maybe every other time, sometimes it seems like at least every other time, I'll get asked, you know, when does this obsession lift? Because when you're in the fucking storm, you know what I mean? Like, that's the only fucking thing. That's it. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, here I am. I've made a commitment to not use. Maybe not. Maybe not. Right? But meanwhile, the dogs, the hounds of hell at your heels, just, you know, like that sense that, you know what I mean? Like, I cried in the shower. I cried in the shower so that, you know, because of tears in the rain, like nobody would know, you know what I mean? And I was just like, wanted to get high so bad. And I just, you know, and one day I got in the shower and was just like, you haven't thought about it. I realized I wasn't crying. And I was like,
it's like, how about that?
Yeah. I got a guy who works on I have a classic car. I have an old 87, and I took him one time. I took the car to him to do some work on it, and I asked him, you know what I mean? Like, I was concerned about how much it was going to cost me to do the work, and he looked at me like people who know exactly what they're doing and said, "It takes what it takes," and that's what I've been telling people when they ask me. about how long does it take for this obsession to lift. I have yet to meet somebody who stayed in recovery very long term that the obsession hasn't lifted.
I don't think I've ever. No, I mean, every person that I've ever talked to, they said, I don't remember the day, but I remember thinking, when's the last time I thought about getting high?
Yeah.
You know?
It takes what it takes. It leaves when it decides it's going to.
Yeah.
And just like on the track, right? We all get plopped in a different spot. Some people are like, yeah, I never look back. And you know what I mean? It was just a couple days. I had this awakening and I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
right.
Like, I was
Like,
like,
all right.
for fucking months, I was like, raw.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, how is it that, you know, but, you know, everybody.
Well, listen, I'm grateful for it.
Oh, fucking right.
Like, I'm grateful for it. Like, because I know that, like, I very well could. Like, not today. I'm not going to get high.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? But, like, I remember vividly, like, being in treatment, being in detox, like, unwell.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
just like,
oh, yeah,
and,
absolutely. Yeah.
like, I mean, I had no idea what, like, it felt to be, like, comfortable in my body.
Yes.
You know, like in my skin. Like, I don't, this is so niche, but like my entire life, I just wanted to like rip my skin off and like live in somebody else's skin. Like, I hated everything. And maybe it's because of the abuse. Maybe it's because of the abuse, like as a child or an active addiction. But like the things that have been done to me, like I just didn't want to feel that anymore.
Right.
But like, you know, like, instead of rejecting it, it's like, why don't I just like give myself some like tender love and care, you know? And like, listen, like I didn't feel that. I didn't like really feel like I started actually loving myself until I had like 7 years clean.
Well, okay, Rich B, who has been on the show, and it's my heart. You know, we used to be setting up chairs at 10 o'clock in the morning in Glen Olden.
What a great
You
Glen
know what I
Olden
mean?
day.
Yeah. You know, actually, we were in Norwood at the 10 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Still there Monday and Friday these days, but and I would be down there fucking torturing myself, and I'd be like, you know, because they just wanted so badly to just feel better about me, and outwardly, you know, there's gifts of desperation that sometimes aren't the way you'd think, right? Like that low self-esteem and low self-worth led me to achieve, right? You know what I mean? Because I need an outward representation of that to compensate for the inward way I feel.
Yeah.
But eventually it started to get to the point where it was like I had the outward things, but inside I was just in so much torture. And I'd be like, you know, where do you get self-esteem? And he was one of the first times he was like, you know, do esteemable things. And I was like, fuck you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I was like, the Lord, you know, what the fuck's that mean?
What do you mean I should make the bed?
Right,
You know?
exactly. But you know what? Like one of the most amazing things that we can do for ourselves is continue on the journey, right? You know what I mean? Like some of it is like what we do, right? Like, okay, esteemable things like take better care of myself or, right? You know what I mean? But people are always like, you know, I've sponsored several young men over the years who have said to me, you know, their first responses were, you know, as soon as I start feeling better, I'm going to start working some of these steps. And I'm like, it's actually exactly the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to be in the storm, and working this step process is where we get relief.
Yes.
But you don't, you know, it's like saying, you know, as soon as I get muscular, I'm going to go to the gym.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like the
opposite.
It's opposite land. And, you know, we talk about all these things that must be done, right? You know, like a step process, or, you know what I mean? Like, you know, there's so, you know, taking care of ourselves physically, there's all these things that we can be done. But I mean, one of the kindest things that we can do for ourselves and for others is just to continue to keep coming back. You know what I mean? Like before we even really get, because I knew I had the honor and privilege of sponsoring a gentleman who was one of the top addiction counselors in the East Coast. He had 37 years before he relapsed. And then he came back, and I think he picked me because he felt I was easily manipulatable, or at least that's what he told. That's what I felt. Like that probably wasn't the case. You know what I mean? Like I was probably like year 2 or 3, and I was like, you know, I was animal about this thing, and also an animal about the you know, I just got my new badge, right?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
About
yep,
like,
yep,
you know,
yep.
there are many ways to the top of the mountain, and I was a Sherpa for one way, and that was it. You know what I mean? So, and we ran into a little bit of, you know, we butted heads over a process that, you know, aside from the time that he'd done for decades before I had ever gotten there. And, you know, and, you know, over time, you know, that Musashi quote about there's more than one way to the top of the mountain has really kind of like helped me, because I really realized that, you know, that this is not about how I educate people on how to do this.
No.
Right. It's more about see what I do, see what my life is like. If you want to follow and do what I do, you're welcome to. If you want to take a different path, that's great too.
Well, and that's like the beautiful thing. Like, I feel like it's like like I see that saying of like the broader the base, or like like the diversity, like it's like having diversity in like different ways of like getting well is like that's better for everybody.
Sure. But different circles of recovery have their own manifestos.
Yes.
Of like, and my understanding is that those exist for a reason, and that is because as an addict, I'm looking for a way out, right? And an extremist view is the best Kool-Aid I can possibly drink because it doesn't have a way out. You almost have to go that route first. Because if I took any other route that was like, oh, I'm just going to take this and leave the rest, I'd be dead.
No, and that's totally right. I mean, like I always joke, like I do very well in high accountability environments. Like I need people around me that are like doing what I'm doing.
Right.
I mean, like, I don't know, like I was just thinking about like the idea of like I was thinking while you were talking about like, what does it actually look like to take care of oneself? And like, you know, for like a long time, I really thought it was just like going to the gym 5 days a week and eating well and going to a million meetings a week. And, you know, it's like doing all of the work that I can do to like take care of myself. But like, I don't know, dude. I think it's like those relationships in our life, like whether it be like dad, brothers, partner, friends, like loving you unconditionally, like during that storm period that you were talking about. Like, it's like we don't weather away from it. We like weather in it, towards it, not alone. Like, it's like that's where like I feel like I've gotten the most like self-love is like literally breaking down in front of people and having them like hold me and be like, I'm not going anywhere. And I'm going to be here and we're going to get through it together. And it's actually going to be easier. Like, and it's like, holy shit. Like, really? Like, it was just like, I had a conversation a long time ago. It was my very first conversation with an individual named Bill K. And I called Bill and it was pouring rain. I was on my way home from work. I had a shit day at work. Like, I was just like bitching about everything and my life sucked. And I don't know. I don't even remember what I was upset about. But like I was crying and I was just overwhelmed. And I call him to do that. And he sits there in silence for like 30 seconds. And I'm like, you there? Like, hello. And he's like, I love you so much. And I was like, oh, like that's really cool, you know?
Yeah. Loving people where they're at.
Yeah, that was my very first experience of like that unconditional, like real love.
It's taken me a long time to understand that, you know, never give somebody a lecture that needs a hug.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's, and we're so solutions oriented in the beginning that we go from, we're really not capable of anything other than hugging people to this extremist thing, which we do for a while. And then it's like, you know, if you're not willing, right. You know what I mean? Like there's just strange, it's, you know,
it's a strange group of people.
Yeah, and this metamorphosis that we go on internally where there's like a death of one part of us and the birth of another part, and it's not a pretty thing, right? Now that I look at it on the other side, it's like, I guess it would be pretty, like metamorphosis is pretty. Like, you know, a caterpillar is kind of pretty because it's got a lot of colors on it, and a butterfly is pretty, obviously, but you know, can you see the cocoon is pretty,
right?
You know, and to me now I see that in between stage, you know, with a lot more kindness, because I realized that this is what hard shit looks like, and this is what metamorphosis looks like, and that period in between.
Well,
It's awkward.
those periods in between, like I'd want to kill myself.
Me too.
You know, like
Yeah.
it's like I'm like sitting in my room, like with like years clean, being like, so am I gonna slit my throat or not? You know,
Yeah,
and
right.
it's like, oh my God, like,
Right.
like what is this? Like, because it's just so uncomfortable to neither be here nor there. Like,
Right.
there's
it's the most uncomfortable.
You feel like you're floating in space.
Yes.
And like, you know, for me, it was like in between relationships, you know, it was like, you know, I remember I was dating this one guy who was like troubled and had issues, ended terribly, and then dated another guy that was troubled and had issues and ended terribly. And then like in that space over here, I was like, did I really get clean for this shit?
Yeah, right.
You know, like, are
Right.
you
to
kidding?
continue to line myself up?
Yeah,
for
like
this shit?
what am
Right.
I doing? Like, I mean, like I was just like, this is insane. Like that, like I went from going to PFA court to like, you know, like this relationship wasn't the best to like now I'm like over here, like ready to slit my throat with like
Right.
6 years clean. Like that's not
Right.
great.
Right.
And like, you know, like I had to just like, I mean, like obviously I reached out and got back into therapy like promptly. But it was like getting through that time, it was like I really needed to like be reminded, and I was reminded by like a lot of really powerful women in my life that like I am literally growing up.
Right.
Like I mean, I was in my early 20s.
Right.
Like I literally grew up in recovery.
Right.
So like now that I'm like I think it's like really like sitting here with you, and it'll be interesting to like listen to this in a few years, be like, she was full of shit. But like, you know, it's like I really feel like that that like I'm starting to finally feel like a woman.
Well, let's rewind what you just said for a second, because we talked about it with like social media, right? And the interesting thing about conversations like this is that they serve the moment.
Yes.
Right? And my hard drive, just like my ability to predict the future, is fucking busted. Right? So the manifestation in my memory of what my past experience has been can't be anything but colored through the lens of where I'm at now.
Yes.
So, you know, so in a way, just about everything that I've ever created or ever done is looked at from a later lens of, oof. Right? Like, oh shit, did I say that? Did I do that? But that was where I was at that given moment. And that doesn't take into consideration the grace and mercy that comes through growth and change. And you know, we get a fucking pass, right? To be able to come back later and be like, you know, frankly, these kind of things are fucking fantastic, because without it, we don't see the way stations of growth.
Right.
Like, you know, like my journaling, like I've been journaling now for like 5 fucking years, and I'll go back to like 2020, like, right as the pandemic hit, and look at what I was writing, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I was like, the world's coming to an end, and I don't know what the fuck's going on,
Right.
but nobody's even walked past my front door for
Right.
like 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and what the fuck, and I'm not sure if I'm ever going to be in business again, and what the fuck is this about? So, okay, give me a minute to reorganize my thoughts and think about like where we left off. So and I'll say this for the camera, you know, the magic of doing these things is we get to take breaks. So we took a little break for a minute and back in the game. So so one of the interesting things, and you know, again, we go back to that social media thing, you do get like little bits and pieces of, right? And what I've found, you know, kind of compelling and fascinating over time is seeing like what you're doing now. So let's talk about that a little bit. So,
Yeah.
because I see you on stage quite a bit.
I am on stage quite a bit.
Right. So, and so let's talk about what your life's like now.
My life is pretty cool. I'm getting married in June.
Come on now. There you go. Boom. All right.
No, I didn't want to stab you with
Oh,
my
that's
beautiful,
okay. Stab me with the
my
diamonds.
beautiful ring. Yeah, I'm getting married in June 6th, 2026.
Wow.
To like the best person ever.
Suppose if you should be saying that.
Yeah.
If you're not saying that, then there's a problem.
There's something
Right,
wrong.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
If he's not your best person, then that would
No,
be
he is my best person. Like, it's cool, man. Like, he's like very like stabilizing.
Okay.
You know, like just to like break it down. Like, I feel like sometimes like he like jokes like that. I get like, because he's not one of us, right? Like he's
Okay.
just like a normal guy, and his name is Tim. So Tim will kind of see me get locked in on like some bullshit. Like it'll be like I get like food fixations, or I get fixated on a show, or like something that like I feel like I need, you know?
It would be healthy for others.
Yeah, but like I take it too
Yes.
far every time. And like we got a Ninja Creamy, and like I was like wanting to eat ice cream every night, you know? Like it's like, "Oh, let's make ice cream." And he's like, "We don't need to have ice cream every night." And I was like, "Yeah, we do." But like, but like he just like he empathizes so greatly over the fact that my moderation button is broken. So
Right.
he just like kind of like sits and watches like from the sidelines and is like,
Does he allow it to become a little bit more unmanageable before he interjects, or does he?
I don't even think he interjects.
Yeah.
Like he kind of, unless like it gets bad, but like I don't think it's ever really gotten like to a point where he's like, "Chris, we got to talk about this." But like he just kind of like lets me work it out of my system.
Right.
And then he's like, "All right, back to planet Earth." And I'm
Okay.
like, "Yeah."
Okay.
But yeah, you know, like I'm getting married, like really excited about that. And you know, my job like I mean, like I always joke, like, because people will ask me like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "Well, remember in high school they would be like, we have a guest third period and they're going to come speak at our school." Like that's what I do. But I'm not there by any stretch of the imagination. Like I'm not telling kids like don't do drugs. I'm just telling kids what happened to me when I did drugs and what works and what doesn't, you know? Like I was a self-harmer. I was let me stick my finger down my throat. I'm going to drink and do drugs. Like, you know, so I go to schools and like I joke to the students like today. Like I went to the Pingree school today, which is like, you know, top 1% school, right? And like I stood on that stage and you know, like basically like got real vulnerable and real and was like, this is what my life was like, where, you know, and then you have kids that will come up and be like, you told my, like there was a kid that came up to me and they said, "You told my story," and like gave me a hug. And like that type of identification, like I wanted to take what we do in the rooms and like, I think everybody deserves to have that level of identification, you know?
I think there's probably a misunderstanding of the public at large about, like, it's easy to see that in poor socioeconomic situations where there would be desperation, where there would be trauma, where there would be, you know, many of these things. Obviously, there's the vast and uncomfortable middle,
Right.
where most of us populate, and then there is also the elite, and
It's a different struggle.
it's a different, but equally, not equal in the way it manifests, but equal in the desperation that comes along with it, and like the expectation of the performance, or
Yes.
you know, in those extreme upper echelons, financially and otherwise, you run into situations that start to lean more into what it looked like with the disparity between your mother and your father, because high performers that can afford to do those type of things are either one of two things: they're either generational wealth, and then with generational wealth comes its own level of luggage, because you know the entitlement and all the other things that come along with that. And then the other one, which is the nouveau riche, right? And nouveau riche are, you know, typically very committed to generating that level of wealth so that you can have that. But what comes with that is a level of absence or lack of presence, or
Yes.
a emotional disconnection sometimes, and and that leads to, and then there's the other part, which is the helicopter parent piece, which is the expectation of extremely high performance, and a lot of times it's because the parents are living vicariously through the performance of their children.
Right. And I think like, like my family is by no means like generational wealth, right? But like my dad just worked his ass off.
Right.
Like
What
too
is he?
much.
What industry was he in? Because he went to Wharton.
Yeah, he went to Wharton, so he was like doing he worked for a company called Trinseo for a while, and they were like a packaging and shipping company.
Okay.
And but they would work like worldwide.
Okay, so, yeah, so
it was
there's
like
the
they would
travel piece.
create
Right.
like all that stuff.
Right.
And my dad was like his funny enough, I mean, he's really chilled out these days, but his technical title was like a controller.
Okay, I have one of those that works for me. Let me ask you a
Yeah.
question. How old is he? Because this is gonna make me feel old.
He is 68 years
Okay,
old.
so he is older than me. Cool.
Yeah. He just turned 68.
Cool.
Yep,
Okay.
I took him out for his birthday
Right,
last.
because if you would have said
couple days
56,
ago.
I would have been like,
You would have been like, I hate you.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right. So let's talk a little. Let's get back to, so career wise. So you said, what organization you're with now? You're with a university.
It's called it. Well, so the organization with the speaking, like that is like technically like full-time job status,
Okay.
right? So like I do 150 presentations in a school year. It's a
Wow.
lot of presentations. I think right now I'm at like 46, and the school year ends in July.
Okay.
So I'm like about a third of the way done,
right.
which is like fantastic. But that's not technically full-time hours. So like I also work part-time at LaSalle University. So I work funny enough, like I work alongside Karen Treatment Centers where I went, and I work for their education department. And part of that education department is like a lot of prevention work. So, I have found, like my supervisor, Tina George, she's amazing. She created a program called Peak Performance. And basically Peak Performance is all about giving prevention education around wellness and substance use for athletes, because they are at a much higher level for abusing substances like during sport and post sport.
Right. Because of the pressure associated with performance.
Pressure, injury.
Right.
Um,
You'd be surprised how many people I've had on the show, and we trace back where their first real interface with drugs, where it became unmanageable, and a lot of time it's tied to injuries.
oh yeah, because they get prescribed opiates,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, here you go, and you're like, holy shit, this is
great.
amazing.
Yeah, until it's not.
Until it's not, until it destroys your life. And so like a lot of those programs that I do on campus, I'm there 2 days a week, and
Right.
and I like hang out with the kids, and like I help them get connected with resources. And this is my second year doing it. I've been speaking with Minding Your Mind for 8 years. So I was in Vegas for a little bit, I was in New Hampshire, I was in Erie. Like I go all over the country. And
How many
speak.
other people in the organization are doing what you do?
So I am the only, it's my understanding that I am the only full-time speaker.
Really?
Everybody else is part-time.
Okay.
So we're based out of Ardmore,
Okay.
but we have like a branch in LA. We have a branch in, I believe, Boston maybe, or Chicago. But either way, like, I mean, I love it.
Right.
Like even today, like speaking at that school, I spoke in front of 850 kids, and it was like great, like I live for it. But I'll talk to kids as young as 3rd grade all the way up to parents, prisons, universities, high schools, middle schools. Whoever will listen is like where I'll talk. So yeah, I really, really, really enjoy it. And I always tell the kids too, I'm like, never in a million years would I think that like my life would literally look like this.
Right.
Like who am I?
Right.
I'm not shit,
You're somebody. You're somebody. You know what I mean?
It's
awesome.
crazy. Like there'll be kids that'll be like, some kids will be like, what, like, how did you get the courage to ask for help? Right. Like they'll ask me those types of questions. Like what did you actually do? And then there'll be other kids that'll be like, I love your hair. And it's like so cute. Like this differentiator between the two.
Well, so here's an interesting thing. So, I mean, the most estimable thing that we do is to make an impact in the lives of others, without question. There's no comparison.
Right.
And in the circles of recovery, I think the first interface that most people look at is what impact can I make in the immediacy of the still sick and suffering, the next
Yes.
person that walks through the door. And I don't think that changes.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think is really interesting and moving is people that take it, excuse me, people who take it in different arenas and do different things with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, I have a friend of mine who's he's a recovery coach. And when I talk about recovery, it's like physical rehab. So, people who've been in really bad car accidents and veterans and things like that. I hope to have him on the show, actually. And, my personal trainer, who was my first guest on the show here, you know what I mean? Like, he was a strength and conditioning coach for the Sixers, but he had been through hell before he got there.
What was his name?
That's, oh God, yeah, you put me on the spot.
Oh, sorry.
That's totally cool.
No, I know a strength and conditioning coach named Justin.
Okay, yeah.
And he works
it's
for
David,
LaSalle, but
David Berger. So
Okay.
sorry, Dave. You know what I mean? Like, just caught me off guard there for a second. Yeah, David's the shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I always encourage everybody. You know what I mean? Like, you never know which podcast's really going to speak to you. Like, you got to kind of like flip through some episodes. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and that's why I love the podcasting world so much. Like, I listen to podcasts all the time because I'm driving everywhere
True. I never
drive-
really thought about that.
constantly. Like, I drove to almost damn near New York today.
Right.
So I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to put on some Theo.
Well,
and
just for the record, we're on Spotify and Apple Podcast as well as YouTube. So,
which is
yeah,
fantastic.
so whatever flavor you like, we're on that flavor, So,
Yeah, it better be Spotify,
right,
though.
right. So, wow. Fucking, my best friend says sometimes to me, and I know he says it to me because he doesn't want to sound condescending when he said, I'd like to say I'm proud of you. Right. But he doesn't want to say that because he doesn't want to sound like, yeah, buddy, I'm proud of you because we're, the same age, we served together, whatever. He said, what I'm going to say is I'm impressed. I'm impressed with you.
I had a conversation with a friend I was on the phone with them. They asked if they could speak to me. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. We'll talk. And they had a big presentation coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And they said to me, like, I look up to you. And this is like somebody that's a little bit older than me, and like, but he's also like equally as, if not more skilled. Like, he crushes it. Like, he's so professional and awesome and like informed. And like, he was like, he said, like, so humbly, like, I am so impressed. I look up to you. Like, you are like a pro. Right. And I want your feedback. I want to know how I can nail this presentation and like what I can do with these feelings that I have because I'm scared. And I was like, you're impressed by me? But part of me believed it. And like, that's the crazy part is before I'd be like, no, like, that's ridiculous. Like, and like use that to put myself down, as like a form of self-harm. Like, I can't ever believe that like I'm an expert at what I do. But like, dude, I've been speaking on stages for 8 years talking about mental health and suicide prevention.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You have momentum.
Yeah. And it's cool, man. Like,
yeah.
Like I talk about like what it was like to lose my mom on a stage in front of like hundreds of people and how I coped poorly and then got help. And like kids and adults are like, dude, that's rad, because like they don't realize that they're struggling or they don't realize that their parent is struggling or you know what I mean? Like, it's like if I could give myself words of wisdom at 11 years old, that's like what I talk about. And it's like that right there is like healing in a way,
Well,
it's like controlling the things we can control.
there's two parts to that. The first part is what I mentioned before, which is the gift of momentum. Right? And then the second part, Brené Brown,
What a rock star she is.
Power of vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That it's the antidote against the story that I'm telling myself is.
Yes.
Right. And the unfortunate thing about the disease of addiction, which is in its way as a mental illness, and there were people would put their gloves on and fight tooth and nail about the fact that it's not or whatever.
Right.
You know, excuse me. Fuck you. All right. So anyway, you know, that cunning, baffling, insidious, progressive, incurable, and fatal. Right. You know what I mean? So the progressiveness and the incurability,
Yeah.
right, means that without continued participation in doing esteemable things and doing what's good for me, it's like, you know, it's like a boat made out of screen doors. Like
Right.
it's coming and you scoop, 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 and it's still coming in. So what I'm going to say to you is, one, your mom's proud of you. That's one. And then two, the impact that you're having and will continue to have can't replace that. You're saving lives, period, point blank. And don't stop. All right? I'm a big fan. And I'm glad I had you on the show. It's been an honor and a privilege.
Thank you so much.
Love you.
I love you.
There we go. Boom. Listen, check it out. If you haven't been watching Dancing on a Volcano, right? You know what I mean? Please hit like and subscribe. You know, there are a lot of people watching the show, but they're not subscribing to the show. We need you. Please tune in so that when new episodes drop, you get the notice. We appreciate you. Dancing on a Volcano, episode 16, season 2. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
To a circle of chairs
That was awesome.
where
Yeah, it's
broken
really
men
nice.
whisper that they've been there. Now I'm dancing on a volcano, bare feet over fire and stone. Yeah, I've lived through hell, but I'm not alone. The edge don't scare me, I've already been burned. Every step I take now is a lesson I've learned. Ooh. The steps on the wall look too tall to climb, but I took them one at a time. Strangers became brothers, sisters sang my song. They carried me steady when I couldn't be strong. I'm dancing on a volcano, bare feet over fire and stone. Yeah, I've lived through hell, but I'm not alone. The edge don't scare me, I've already been burned. Every step I take now is a lesson I've learned. Now I'm dancing on a volcano, bare feet over fire and stone. Yeah, I've lived through hell, but I'm not alone. The edge don't scare me, I've already been burned. Every step I take now is a lesson I've learned. Now I'm dancing on a volcano, bare feet over fire and stone. Yeah, I've lived through hell, but I'm not alone. The edge don't scare me, I've already been burned. Every step I take now is a lesson I've learned. I found love in the quiet, hope in the pain. Happiness grows like flowers in rain. I was ready to fall, now I'm learning to stand. Life feels lighter with God in my hands. Now I'm dancing on a volcano, with a smile where the ashes blow. The fire tried to claim me, but I let it go. The edge don't scare me, I've already been burned. Any day I'm living is a day I've earned. This is Source Volcano with a smile where the ashes blow. The fire tried to claim me, but I let it go. The edge don't scare me, I've already been burned. Every day I'm living is a day I've earned.